Two of the founders of one of Britain's most visible right-wing organisations, the English Defence League, are leaving. Without a trace of irony, one of them, Tommy Robinson, says that some of the members of an organisation accused of stoking up racial tensions are far-right extremists. Well, I'm going to ask him about it shortly. First, though, let's see Jim Reed's report on the EDL.
I don't care whether you say I'm racist. I don't care what you say to me. I don't care if you want to kill me. We don't care whatever you say. We're going to continue to fight it no matter what.
He might have a reputation for noise and bluster, but this news was kept very quiet indeed. After 4 years trying to run the English Defence League, the man who calls himself Tommy Robinson is now suddenly walking away. He sat between two former Muslim jihadists to make his point that the EDL is becoming too extreme and loud, sometimes violent demonstrations are just not working.
I'm asking all my supporters who have followed me to put faith in the decision we're making and follow in. I don't believe street protests and the way it's going is the way forward. I believe an opportunity has to be given to see if this can progress. And it can progress to be the debate, instead of being had out on the street, can be had in an arena that it is supposed to be had.
It was this demonstration in 2009 that changed everything for Tommy Robinson. Muslim protesters shouted insults as the Royal Anglian Regiment marched through Luton town centre. Robinson led a counter-demonstration that eventually turned into the EDL. The group has no normal joining procedures and no membership list. Its street protests often descend into violence and arrests. But people who watch the EDL say Robinson is in fact one of its less extreme members. For the last 9 months, he's been followed by a camera crew as he was brought together with moderate Muslims.
I think the vast majority of the people in this country would want the burqa banned. Is there a religious need to wear a burqa?
And there's an emphasis on modesty, but people interpret that in many different ways, you can see for yourself.
In the process of making the film, to be broadcast on the BBC this autumn, he was introduced to the anti-extremist group, the Quilliam Foundation. It's helped trigger his departure, along with another senior member of the EDL.
They've demonstrated a level of courage because, of course, let's not forget there are elements within the EDL that will be furious right now, and they will consider them both traitors. I know that because there were elements within the Islamist movements that considered me a traitor when I left Hizb ut-Tahrir. There are also elements within Islamist extremist organisations who will be very angry and suspicious of this because we've just removed their justification for existing.
The reaction from EDL supporters is hard to measure at this stage. On internet forums, there are plenty of comments of support for Robinson, many, though, of disbelief. I thought Tommy would rather die on his knees than surrender. What is he thinking of, says one Facebook post. Another reads, he's a failure, so Islam has won. We the British have to do what we must. Find a new, true leader.
In some ways, Tommy Robinson is really just a spokesperson for a number of regional English defence leagues. That, however, is a problem. It's far easier for the police to contain and to control demonstrations that the English Defence League has when there's one leader and one group. And actually, if the group fragments and actually turns into a large number of smaller, sometimes quite nasty groups, it's going to be far harder to police.
As for Tommy Robinson, there is now talk of leading a new political group. The question for many is whether that will just be a watered-down version of the English Defence League, or it can really be something different, genuinely non-violent and genuinely non-racist.
Well, Tommy Robinson is here. When precisely did you decide that you had to leave?
I decided in February. I spent 18 weeks on at Her Majesty's pleasure, and I was on solitary confinement. And it was the best thing that happened to me because I had a long time to think about where I was going. I know it seems strange to say it, but where I was going, where the movement was going, and what I want. And then when I come out of prison, I see the organisation, elements of the organisation, fringe elements that were on the outskirts, had been welcomed back. I'd battled for 4 years to keep racists, Nazis, extremists out of this movement. I battled and dedicated my life to it. And they were invited back. And I felt let down by the people that in the organisation that were in positions, the same people that are calling me a traitor now, that were in positions invited Nazis to stand with them in the street. Now, I am the public face. It's my face that is up for this. I have to be true to myself. I despise Nazis. I despise racism. I'm not about to be the public face, and that was one thing. I'd made that decision. I hadn't left, and then Lee Wrigley was killed.
What was the EDL? What is the EDL if it's not racist?
It's not racist. You see, this is what I want to say. I want to say a personal thank you to supporters of the English Defence League, because it's become my life, and I've grown to love many people in that movement. I see this as a massive step forward in the fight against Islamic extremism and the far-right extremism. The English Defence League is a collective group of ordinary people. The majority of people in that movement are ordinary people with heartfelt concerns, and they've been branded racist. I've been branded racist for 4.5, 5 years. Everyone's called me a racist and extremist.
Yeah, but you did say there should be no more mosques built in Britain unless Islam reformed.
Yeah,
correct?
No, I said there should be no more mosques unless they're moderated and regulated in a way like schools are with Ofsted. I said I believe we need to know who's funding them, we need to know which preachers of hate are speaking in them if they are, and we need to British-born Muslims in control of those mosques. Now, what's coming out of this is everyone's saying the English Defence League has been taken over by Nazis. That's not actually the case. Well, the point is that the first demonstration that I didn't go to, Manchester, they were welcomed back. There was a recent demonstration in Portsmouth where splinter groups, which I've fought to keep out of it, actually give speeches. So for me, this is all about, for me, is being the public face. We've done this for 4 years. We've raised the profile. I think the English Defence League has been very successful in bringing things to the forefront.
Sure.
I now think it's at a point...
Have you changed your views?
My views, I think I want people to listen to my views, because what people portray my views and believe my views would be is not what they are. I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate Muslims at all.
Why do you want to stop mosques being built?
Unless they're moderated and regulated, because I believe there's a problem. And every time we see an undercover documentary, we see problems, and then it's like they say, oh, that's not Islam, and it's not representative. But there is a problem. But for me, this leaving is about, we're 4 years in. I see this as a step forward. I see this as an inevitable progression into what we were doing, and I don't see it beneficial to continue doing what we were doing.
Do you still think this country's in danger?
I know this country's in danger. I've just sat in there and watched the news and seen that we've got 2,000 British people out fighting out for Al-Shabaab. This country is in danger. Let's not pretend the biggest threat to this country is Islamist terrorism, extremism. At the same time, I despised far-right extremism. I've battled through this organisation to be true and to steer it in what me and my cousin Kevin have built it on. And we've built it on inclusive and welcoming everybody.
Sure, but you haven't changed your views.
No, basically, no one's listened to what I've said for 4.5 years, because our message has been lost in translation because of the actions of a minority, and that's continued. And this is more serious than marching through streets. This is I've got 3 beautiful children, and I want them to grow up in a safe and prosperous Britain. And I want and the same when I've met these lads with Quilliam, and I've seen the work they do. So to anyone saying that I've bottled out and Quilliam are sellouts, when I've met this week with a Pakistani girl who's working within that organisation, and they've set up offices in Pakistan where the Taliban are operating in, and they're there on the ground tackling extremism, that is not bottling out, and that is not cowardice. So that is putting your life on the front line to tackle extremism, and that's what I want to do. So to progress forward, I don't want to let these supporters down who have meant everything to me and got me through 4 years. I don't want to let them down, because a voice has been built for them, and that's what this has become, a voice for working class people. But I want to use that voice in a positive way to progress forward, and not in a positive way where it's discriminated against all Muslims. And at the same time, I'll take this opportunity to say to Muslims, if individual Muslim women or anyone has felt fear and intimidation, and it's on behalf of me, I apologise for that. But I ask them to listen that British women and non-Muslim women are feeling scared and intimidation. And that's why most of these men are taken out to the streets. And it's about showing people the right way. And when I'm asking my supporters, I'm saying, look, I see this as the right step forward. I see working with Quilliam, I see working with Muslim and reformists, anti-extremists, I see it as the way to go. And I ask them to put faith in me that I haven't made this decision lightly. This has been the biggest decision of my life. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. All the things I've had to do with terrorists wanting to kill me for 4 years, that has not mattered. This has been the hardest thing because I didn't want to let my supporters down.
Are you more optimistic now?
I'm more optimistic after meeting with Quilliam, and I'm more optimistic. I don't think there's any more powerful statement than myself sitting with Majid and Kevin and Osama and sitting there. I think it's a massive blow to extremism. And I want to, and as I said, be true to my representation. Kevin's daughter is of mixed race. Half my best friends are of immigrant background. I despise Nazism, and I'm not willing for demonstrations to go on that I can't attend and me be the public face for that.
But, you know, it was not so long ago you were standing up in front of crowds and saying, EDL till I die.
Yeah, no surrender till I die. People are saying I've surrendered. I see this as taking 2 steps forward. I see this as a massive, massive move forward and a massive blow to the Islamist ideology in this country. Inevitably, to overcome the threat, we have to work with Muslims. And walking through the street shouting Allah, Allah, who is Allah, is not going to get the support of any Muslim. What it's actually going to do, which I've come to realise myself, what it's actually going to do is make them side and give them something to stand with the extremists for.
Do you think there are too many Muslims in this country?
No, I think that we have to protect our culture. I don't think there's too many Muslims. I believe that we have to protect our culture and we have to protect immigration. I want an end to immigration, to Islamic immigration. I've said that until the problem's solved. That's not meaning... Same with mosques. I'm saying you can carry on building mosques when this problem's when they're moderated and regulated, but there has to be movement on either side. I want what's best for this country, and I'm passionate about it.
You can be British and black and brown, obviously. You can be a Muslim British.
You can be English and be a Muslim. When I've sat with Majid earlier, the man's from Essex, yeah? Speaks with an Essex accent. I'm from Luton Town. We've got nothing, no difference between us. And if Pakistani heritage Muslims in this country were wearing England tops and proud to embrace the Union Jack, every one of those supporters would be happy with it. That's what people seem to... The way that these supporters are judged and people tarnish the whole organisation is so unfair. Because I've spent time with them, I know them, they're all decent people. There is an element that I have battled, and for me, it's about moving forward. What I think is right is moving forward with Quilliam. But at the same time, it's about, I am the public face. So what people forget is when they lift their top up and there's a picture of a mosque with boom in it, that's my face that's representative of that. And I'm not willing to be representative of that. And at the same time, all the important and such strong issues, I'm spending all my passion and time fighting against elements within the EDL when I want to tackle Islamist ideology.
Tommy Robinson, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Coming up, Heinz Wolf is still figuring out how to build a Hadron Collider with a golf ball, a torch and a pebble. America is still celebrating the capture at